So welcome to Midweek Experiments in Faithfulness. This is a weekly facilitated spiritual practice with a Quaker flavor and an experimental ethos. My name is Jen Higgins-Newman, and I'm the program manager at Beacon Hill Friends House, a Quaker Center for Learning in Action and a residential community of about 20 people who live according to Quaker values. Tonight, we have Ruth Cutcher with A Meeting of Mystical Practices. Sufism, or Islamic mysticism, is a rich tradition known for its striking poetry, deep contemplation, singing, and whirling dances. Quakerism, also known for its contemplative practice and mystic beliefs about personal encounter with the divine, makes a strong bedfellow for Sufism. In this practice, Ruth will read poetry from the Sufi tradition, carefully selected to resonate with Quaker beliefs. Then she will present queries to help us consider the poetry, journal, and respond. Now, I'm excited to introduce you to Ruth. Ruth Cutcher is a third-year MDiv student at the Earlham School of Religion and has been a Quaker and practicing Sufi for over a decade. We're really excited to have her tonight. So again, welcome. We're happy you joined us, and Ruth, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you everyone for coming to Midweek this week. And I'm really looking forward to sharing this practice with you that has been really meaningful to me. Okay. So it's good to start off with an agreed idea on what we're talking about when we talk about mysticism. Jen correctly said that a lot of people see mysticism as having a direct connection with God or a direct experience with God. And we obtain that direct connection through various practices. In the Quaker tradition, we experience it in the silence, where in the Sufi tradition, it's more likely to experience that direct connection through singing, dancing, or chanting. That direct connection with God leads us to the attainment of insight in hidden truths. And through repeated practice, we are transformed through these experiences. I included that final bullet point around self-delusion and dreamy confusion because that is, for a long time, that was my working definition for mysticism, and it worked for me. It kept me interested, but there's actually some other stuff going on too. So, in the Quaker tradition, we have a lot of voices pointing to this direct experience of God. We have George Fox saying, you can quote that Christ said this or the apostles say this, but what do you say? You're a child of the light and you've walked in the light. You've experienced God. So when you speak, you're speaking words of God. Or Isaac Pennington saying, there's that near you which will guide you. Wait for it and be sure to keep to it. And then London Yearly Meeting saying to take heed to the promptings of love in your heart because those are leadings of God. There are many more quotes, and I didn't want to make a huge PowerPoint of thousands of quotes. So instead of doing that, I'm asking you if you have your own favorite quote, or maybe you have a favorite practice that supports the idea of Quakers being everyday mystics, or a practice that helps you feel close to God. And this is a point where you could journal a few, jot down a few answers. So now I'm in the point of my presentation where I'm going to be sharing with you words from Islam and from the Sufi tradition in particular. This first quote is from the sacred hadith, which those are the writings that, along with the Quran, form the basis of Islam. And this I think speaks very closely to what we experience as Quakers. My love belongs to those who love each other in me, who experience intimacy in me, who shower each other with goodness, who visit each other joyfully for my sake. This poem, it's Rumi translated and reimagined by Coleman Barks, I think speaks very closely to what we experience in our Quaker community. Lovers gather and give each other shade, relief from the direct sun. Stay close by that community. Be shade with them until you yourself are full of light like the moon, then like the sun. Hazrat Inayat Khan is the person who came from India and shared Sufism with North America in the 20th century. So there have been different waves of Sufi teachers that have come over, but Hazrat Inayat Khan had a big influence in the 20th century. And he said, there are many things in the life of a Sufi, but the greatest is to have a tendency to friendship. This is expressed in the form of tolerance and forgiveness, in the form of service and trust. In whatever form he may express it, this is the central theme, the constant desire to prove one's love for humanity, to be the friend of all. And then this poem on saying farewell to friends. This one really speaks to me right now because it's difficult for us to be close to each other. And I have to confess that as I was practicing reading this, it kept making me get kind of choked up. And I was thinking, oh, when we do this, maybe I can just tell you to read it yourself. But I see there are people here on their phones and they might not be able to see the screen. So I'm going to take a deep breath and hopefully read without crying. So this is called On Saying Farewell to Friends. Whether friends are with you or away from you, continue loving them. If you part from us, may God lead you to beautiful places. When you come to us, you are always welcome. When you go, do not fear that we will ever forget you. When you come, do not feel that we will ever have enough of you. And then here's a little information on our next poet, and I included it because this is a poet that I had not been familiar with before putting this presentation together. Mahmud Shabistari was a Persian poet who lived from 1288 to 1340 and was a Sufi poet and theologian, best known for his book, The Secret Rose Garden. And this poem actually is when this opportunity to lead a meditative practice came up. This poem, I read it within a few days of being asked about this opportunity, and I was like, oh, I think I can do something with this. So here's this poem. I and you focus light like decorative holes cut in a lampshade, but there is only one light. I and you throw a thin veil between heaven and earth. Lift the veil and all creeds and theologies disappear. When I and you vanish, How can I tell whether I am in a mosque, a synagogue, a church, or an observatory? And here are the final queries. What practices strengthen your connection to God? How does being a good friend or part of a community of friends help you to feel closer to God? And how can we widen our circle to include new friends? And then also I'm inviting you to share queries that may have come up for you during the practice.